Let me begin by thanking you and your family for your service already rendered to this country, and appreciate your consideration coming back out and taking on a real challenging position at this time. I shared with you while we were visiting in my office that there's one area in particular that I ask almost every single four-star that comes before us. That has to do with regard to the concern over spectrum and the need to protect spectrum that is critical for the defense of our country, including those different bands for communication and radar. So I will begin by just simply saying that I think forcing the Department of Defense to vacate or share in a suboptimal manner the 3.1 to 3.45 gigahertz and the 7.4 to 8.4 gigahertz bands of the spectrum would have a severely negative consequence for our warfighting capabilities, including homeland defense missions and force protection of our deployed forces. General, how important is spectrum to the American military?
It's almost everything, Senator, because we use certain spectrums based on the physics that are characteristic of that spectrum, and we invent capability using that physics for our advantage. And if we have to move out of that spectrum, we then have to invent nearly a new technology to be able to accomplish the mission that we've already spent countless dollars to be able to use that part of the spectrum for the purpose of military objectives. So moving out, one, you may not be able to invent the new technology if you're in a different spectrum, and two, if you do, it's going to take you a while and it's going to be very expensive.
The U.S. Navy, in terms of their discussion in front of this committee, indicated that the cost for them, just for their destroyers, the radar that was on their destroyers, would have been about $250 billion, $250 billion, and approximately 20 years to move to other parts of the spectrum. And we were specifically talking about the 3.1 to 3.45 gigahertz band. Does that impact the Air Force's capabilities?
It does. In today's world, the joint forces interconnect, and we count on one another for situational awareness, weapons employment, and many, many other things. And if the Navy is not capable of providing situational awareness, then there might not be any in this case. So we all rely on one another, and we do the same thing for them. We provide them situational awareness at times because we link together.
Would it be fair to say that China would love to see us eliminate the use or the delivery of the spectrum in the 3.1 to 3.45 and the 7.4 to 8.4 gigahertz band? They would love to see us send that over and restrict it to commercial use.
Not only would it be fair to say we know that they are lobbying us to move out of that spectrum, and yet at the same time they are building their systems to use that same part of the spectrum. Makes you wonder why.
Because it's got the best physics, doesn't it, for that particular purpose?
That's true.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I'll also have to share with you, in the past, uniformed officers have had to stand up to individuals with suits and ties, and they've had to make very clear that this is a significant threat to being able to defend our country. Are you prepared to stand up to those individuals that don't wear a uniform but wear a suit and tie, and to tell them specifically how critical this issue of spectrum management is?
I am, Senator.
Thank you. Senator Fisher did a very nice job of explaining how critical we believe the development and the deployment of the B-21 bomber is. I fully support her belief that more than 100 are necessary, and I understand that while you're not in that position and that you're going to have to work with a lot of people, it would be fair to say that as the analysis continue to come in, more than 100 may very well be required. In that case, are you prepared to advocate for that higher number?
If confirmed, I will.
Thank you, sir. Let me ask you, you raised a really interesting thing when you talked about parts and the F-35, and I think one question I've got for you, it's one that we may have a broken piece, and it may take a couple of days to get it back in, and that's expensive. At what point do we decide that if the piece breaks time and time again, how easy is it, or what do we do about actually getting the piece to be modified so that it's not breaking once a week?
That's normal business for us, Senator. So we analyze things like that. So you have a particular part, say it's an electrical generator on an aircraft, and we realize that it's continuously breaking at a higher than predicted rate. We go back to the manufacturer of that part, and we say you need to redesign it and get it back out to us so that it's on the aircraft for a longer period of time. That's normal business for us, and we do it constantly.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.